As BTS starts pursuing individual activities, media, haters, and just about every fandom and their dog are rushing to dethrone BTS. Not that it is surprising, no one builds a fandom of millions without making thousands of haters. That's why it's hard to depend on Twitter trends and mass buying sales and streaming figures to determine whether BTS can ever be dethroned. It's better to look at their actual artistic excellence. Number 1. Artistic prolificity. BTS is prolific in many ways and in so many levels. In music, they've gone from heavy pop to classically influenced to traditional to Latin, and the list goes on. But their art isn't just music. They have in fact transformed sheer merchandising to a full narrative with BT21. They created characters with full character backgrounds and narrative progress. They have pushed modern art into the mainstream on a global level. They introduced multi-channel narrative, utilizing different art forms to tell a story. Music to music videos to books to short films. Number 2, musical spectrum. No other K-pop act and very few artists globally have used so many genres, from heavy pop to Latin to classical to traditional. But BTS's range of genres is just the tip of the iceberg. BTS has this uncanny ability to use the melody and the beat to add layers of narrative to their lyrics. Go Go is an example. While the song is upbeat, fun, and to a degree funny, the song actually talks about their miserable environment many young people are born into and how they cope and survive by having superficial dreams and living a superficial life. Anpan Man is another. The song sounds like an OST of a superhero movie for children, but it is actually about a superhero who has no superpower. By creating an oxymoron between the melody and the lyrics, they strengthen the narrative by adding a layer to the story. The melody or beat tells a story by itself. The lyrics tells a story by itself. Putting them together creates another layer to the stories. Go Go could have simply been a song about miserable environment many young people are born into. But by putting an upbeat melody with such depressing lyrics, they managed to demonstrate how the fun and funny activities young people fill their lives with actually cloak the misery they're in. Number 3, reinvention of music videos. To this day, the majority of music videos globally, and especially in K-pop, are filled with cute and beautiful and fun imagery. There's nothing wrong with that. But BTS turned music videos into a narrative series. They connected stories of different music videos within an era to tell a story, and then connected different eras together to tell a larger story. Number 4, elevation of K-pop to artistic legitimacy. Like other boy bands, BTS was brought together by an agency, but the similarity to a typical boy band just about ends there. Not only did they launch their career with heavy pop and rap-heavy songs, they also write and produce their own music. But perhaps the more important role they take on is that of directors. They co-create the concepts of their album, their music videos, merch, and performances. They have a huge team of collaborators, but BTS starts and ends concepts and executions. The concept of Filter came from Jimin himself. Boy with Love, the song that everyone thought to be a bubblegum pop song, was BTS's re-examination of how the simplest expressions of love are the greatest and purest, and also the hardest to appreciate. No More Dream is an encapsulation of RM and Suga's emotion as they felt the pressure of aiming for social, academic, and professional excellence in their younger years. It was an emotional rebellion, one that many Asian youth felt. And the depth of creativity shows in the range of their genres, the dimensions of their narrative, the depth of their message, the evolution and elevation of stories, and apparent maturity to to excellence. No other K-pop group and very few artists globally have evolved towards such maturity. Even fewer that can boast such an artistic spectrum, and even fewer that has changed an entire industry for the better. Media, fans, and critics still either refuse to acknowledge this or are too superficial to not realize this. It, however, doesn't change the fact that BTS has been flying in a much higher altitude than the rest of K-pop and most of the global music industry. Number 5. Shift from charts to artistry. BTS earned more than 56 million from their PTD concert in Las Vegas. That's one location plus live streaming. Had they done a tour, they would have smashed all records for a tour. Not to mention merchandise, media mentions, and others. But they chose creative growth over sales, charts, and popularity. That's the choice they made unprovoked. They chose to walk away from all the money and the popularity, all in the interest of new uncertain creative pursuits in order to grow individually as artists and as people. They elevated the K-pop game when they put K-pop front and center in the international stage. From US talk shows to the Grammy, they became so successful that European and US talk shows, awards, and other major events had no other choice but to recognize them. And just as when other artists started walking the way they paved, they walked away to pursue a higher battle, a much difficult one at that, the creative battle. And they have been on a creative berserk ever since. Number 6. Reinvention of K-pop marketing. Many haters claim that BTS is only popular because of social media. They missed several things. A. BTS didn't have mainstream marketing support like other groups. Social media was still in their infancy when they started using it, and it powered them more than mainstream marketing did to other groups. They were either experts in a marketing channel that remains a puzzle to many marketers to this day, or their appeal is beyond the medium. It's in the substance. B. Content, not glamour, is king. They proved that. Beyond their consistent content creation, it was the quality of the content that heavily deviated from usual K-pop marketing content that did it for them. It was constantly about their music, their life as musicians, and the processes of creating one. They lived and talked music in the guise of being idols. BTS doesn't just release promo photos, they release a narrative. Each photo has a story, a part of a larger narrative. Their music videos aren't just beautiful imagery. Each frame, each setup serves to progress a story. BTS's marketing isn't just marketing, it is storytelling. D. BTS completely bypassed the wall that big agencies put between the fans and the artists. It was constructed to package idols as aspirational characters, molded to perfection and wrapped with glamour. BTS decided to move closer to the fans, directly interacting with them to talk about their music and their art. And by bridging that gap, they deconstructed the aspirational positioning and started uncovering their artistry.
상태였고 그 당시에 랩을 이제 좀 해서 한국 분들이나 다른 전 세계 분들도 많이 기다려 주시는 막.
Number 7. They take Labyrinth stories and ideas to mainstream consciousness. Whalian 52 is known to be the loneliest whale in the world, as it is the only whale that sings in 52 hertz, much higher than what an ordinary whale could possibly hear. The whale has been found in many places around the world since the late 80s and appears to be the only specimen capable of producing a frequency so high. The lonely whale sings on its accord, even though it is never heard, never understood. BTS used this to talk about their own artistry, their existence, their loneliness, and the mystery of talking but never being heard. BTS's discography is filled with such complex metaphors, oxymorons, epigrams, and synanthety. With such efforts, they have not only fed their fans with quality music but also inspired them to learn more about complex concepts, often reading books, watching documentaries, and conducting research with such depth it could put National Geographic to shame. Number 8, process and end product. Perhaps knowing they have full creative control in their arsenal allowed BTS to openly talk about the complete and end to end process of their content creation. When mainstream media constantly miss the artistry they prefer to talk about, they conducted their own global press conferences. With control of talking points on their hands, they managed to uncover just how much creative control they have over their own art. They managed to talk about the complicated thought process of their songs, the complex subject matters they cover in their songs. They leave nothing to chance in furthering the exposition of their art. With such effort, they're able to highlight just how superficial and juvenile mainstream media could be because without their own global conferences, media will simply continue with their usual talking points: popularity, fashion, synchronization, sales, glamour instead of the substance of their music. Number 9, they have transcended music. BTS has gone beyond music. They created animated masterpieces with narratives as expansive as classic animes and cartoons. They have used their devices, from wardrobe to props, to raise awareness and attract people to South Korean products, brands, culture, and art. They constantly collaborate with lesser known but good artists to help put a spotlight on different genres and talents. They highlight the beauty of their history, culture, geography by using all these elements as integral part of their storytelling and not just incidental props to their imagery. It has resulted to them becoming significant contributors to their country's economy and introducing Asia's reputation as creative and cultural powerhouse in the mainstream. They have used literature, local and international, as foundations of their stories, encouraging their fandom to read, study, research, and even become writers and content creators themselves. Number 10, their story, their voice. Perhaps the reason they were able to reinvent K-pop, redefine Asian pop, and revolutionize global entertainment is the authenticity of their art. The single greatest commitment they made with their label was the use of their own story and voice in their music. No More Dream was about the struggles of their youth. Blood, Sweat, and Tears was their acknowledgement of how they can never dodge the consequences of their pursuit for mainstream success. Not Today talks of how their stay at the summit will end, but they commit to fight until the very end. And even when they decided to sing Dynamite and Permission to Dance, the only two songs in their arsenal that aren't theirs, it was still a decision they made and not forced upon them. The recent revelation of the band that they were creatively drained and was scheduled to start doing solo activities before the pandemic more than substantiate this. Artists that reinvent an art or craft or an industry come not just once in a lifetime, but just once. There will never be another BTS. There will never be another artist that can reinvent mainstream pop, force the reinterpretation of Asian art and culture, and elevate the summit of artistic excellence the way they're doing it. Other artists can walk on the road they paved and find new lands to conquer to build their own kingdom, but they will never be greater than BTS.